Welcome back to Edge, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money Sports to break down tonight's games, talk about the games that happened over the weekend. We are in full playoff mode over here. It is a great, wonderful time to be a hockey fan, a great time to be betting on hockey, a great time for everything hockey. We have a lot of stuff to get to today. I appreciate everyone bearing with us with this early start. If you were unable to make this early start and you were watching this back, we thank you as well for watching or listening here. So Money, we had 5 games over the weekend. 2 of them, the Winnipeg and Dallas, Colorado games. We can get to a little bit more as we talk about those games tonight. So the other 3 games from yesterday, there was the Carolina game, the Toronto game, and the Vegas game. Any major takeaways you had from those games? Anything that kind of changed your views of these series or these teams, or just kind of basically what you expected so far from those game ones?
For the most part, is what I expected. What I do look for after game ones is that that playoffs are all about adjustments, right? Either from the coaching perspective or there's always some sort of adjustment back and forth. So I always look for, you never want to overreact to game ones, but you also want to see what the basis for the adjustments are on these teams, right? So if you look at the Colorado Dallas series, I can see a response from Dallas based on the way they played and the adjustments that could be made in that series. You look at Carolina, New Jersey, I don't know what the basis of that adjustment would be, right? Like, yes, you do want to tighten up defensively, but you can only do so much. And if you don't have the horses to do that, you don't have the horses to do that. And there's not going to be an adjustment. So just little things like that that I look for. But so the New Jersey Carolina series would be a changing perspective for me. I thought that would be a long, drawn out series. I'm kind of coming over to you guys' side right now that this could possibly be over quick here.
Yeah, and then obviously some injuries for New Jersey to kind of monitor. Cody Glass and Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes would be a significant loss for them on the back end. What an insane way to get hurt. I don't know if you saw that. Markstrom slashed him and then he fell and injured his shoulder. That was wild. And then Cody Glass, obviously not like a difference maker necessarily, but like when you talk about a team that already is pretty thin up front, to lose another guy and some more depth down the middle is significant. Like, it's not like, losing Cody Glass for a lot of teams maybe doesn't necessarily move the needle, but losing Cody Glass for them is like, all right, now what are we going to do? Because we don't even have anyone to replace it, because he's already in there replacing someone who's injured. So it gets pretty thin pretty quickly for the Devils. That does feel like it has sweep potential for sure. Maybe a gentleman's sweep where New Jersey's able to take one of those games at home. But nothing that I saw from that suggests I don't know if you can necessarily like change your opinion of Carolina either, because I think personally, I thought this was how it was going to kind of play out. We've seen this from the Canes team. They will suffocate you, and if you are not up for it, they will beat up on weaker teams. It's always when they kind of take that step up, or when they play a team that has that elite goalie or that great defensive play. How are they going to be able to get enough goals, right? So I don't think we're going to learn necessarily anything about Carolina in round 1 here. Maybe not even round 2, honestly, depending on even like regardless of who they play. Maybe not going to learn a ton. I think if they get past that and as we get further, that's when the real tests are going to start. That Leafs game, personally, that kind of played out how I expected it to play out. I think Ottawa's. I have not been on this Ottawa team at all, and they obviously made the playoffs and they proved me wrong there. I did not have them making the playoffs, but I just don't think they're very good. I know people are going to point to like the shots, and you see Sens fans like victory lapping like the 5-on-5 metrics on Twitter. The Sens were out shooting them like 13-4 in the first period, but they didn't have a single scoring chance that I saw. They were throwing stuff on the net from everywhere, which is how they have to play. That's fair. They don't have the talent up front. They don't have the skill. They're kind of a team that's going to need to just get pucks on net and try and grind down low, bang in some rebounds, score some ugly goals. That's how they're going to have to play. So I get it. That's how the shots are going to climb up. That's like, they're doing what they need to do. But like, I think it was just very misleading. They never really looked uncomfortable for Toronto. Obviously, Brady Tkachuk scores that breakaway goal. Maybe it's a different game if things don't get out of hand like that. But like, he didn't. And that's kind of what you've come to expect from the Sens team. We talked about their low shooting percentage all season, their lack of like skill up front, their lack of finishing, and that's a massive issue in a series when you're going up against a guy as hot as Anthony Stolarz is. So I think another one of those series there where it has potential to be over very quickly. Hopefully, if you guys watched our preview on Friday, you got on some Leafs -1.5, even some -2.5 there. We talked about that a little bit, and then full disclosure, Easter was a long one, and I didn't watch all of the Vegas game. I did see how that ended this morning with that empty netter with like 0.1 seconds left to get you over for if anyone had that. I didn't have anything on the total. I don't know about you, but that was insane. I watched the replay of it. I'm like, wait, how did they score? If there's like 3 seconds left, the puck's deep in their end still. I'm like, is this like, am I watching the right clip? And sure enough, I was.
Yeah, I didn't have anything on the total. I was watching the game, and I mean, like at that point, like but when it happened, I didn't think it was a goal. Like I thought that like it went after the whistle, but I mean after the horn. But yeah, they like reviewed it, and like it was funny. The guys on the broadcast were saying that they referenced the total as well. They were like, "There's a few of you who are hanging on to every word we're saying right now." Right, so I mean that was a little bit funny, right? But yeah. But other than that, like it just, that's a tough way to lose an under. And if you won that over, I don't think you can bet at all today, right?
No,
like you just gotta sit on that and like because you're gonna go 0-3 or like you're gonna lose every game tonight.
Anything you touch is done. Yeah, for sure. All right, we do have 4 games to get to tonight, which is our first 4-game slate of these playoffs. So I am very, very fired up for that. I like how they staggered the start times too, so we don't have to sit through shouldn't have to have it. I mean, straight from 7 o'clock until about past midnight Eastern time, we should have a game going on nonstop throughout that, which will be awesome. Hopefully we get our first overtime of the playoffs too. That will be fun. Before we get into tonight's games, everyone, the NHL playoffs have begun and the Battle of Ontario is on. FanDuel is your home for live betting the Battle of Ontario and other playoff series with new features like live SGPs, build a parlay, any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same game parlay plus. And what's better than playoff hockey? Overtime playoff hockey. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issued is not withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply to terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600. Visit connexontario.ca. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. It's getting easier and easier to read that as I start to like borderline memorize it here. start staying that in my sleep pretty soon. All right, let's start with the game I am dying to watch. I am dying to get to the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals taking game 1 here in Washington. Caps are going to be without Logan Thompson and Alexi Protas. Caps -188 right now on FanDuel. Habs +155. 5.5 total on FanDuel. The over is -130, under +106. This is pretty much 6s across the board. Hopefully, if you watched our show on Friday, you will already be sitting on some really, really good numbers on this Canadiens Capitals over. I talked about how I think this was going to be a very high scoring series. I talked about how I was going to be betting game 1 over 5.5, and I should not be at 5.5. And then Rob and So Money both came in and said the exact same thing. And here we are a couple days later, and the 5.5s are indeed gone. We are at 6s across the board, and pretty much flat 6s as well. You're not even getting plus money on these anymore. Has this run too far for you to get involved? And are you getting involved in this side at one either way also?
So the total, I think, is still good. I think that that a flat 6 is probably is my upper limit there. So total still good. I'm not getting involved in the side in this game just because I have questions about both teams that I would like answered first. I'm definitely not laying this number on Washington because I think that obviously Montreal is a very feisty team, right? We saw that down the stretch, right? They're not gonna if they they might get overwhelmed in the first game, but I can also see a situation where they do play well enough to win, or they are able to make it a coin flip. So I'm a little bit back and forth on the side, so I'll stay away from that. But definitely the over. You touched on it. We talked about it last week. This should be a high scoring series, and I think both teams are fine with that. Both teams are fine with going back and forth. So I do, I do like the over here.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that even if one of these teams is not fine with it, I don't think they'll have much of a. They don't have the ability to lock it down. They just really don't. If Montreal doesn't want to get into a back and forth with Washington, which honestly, if you're the Habs, I don't know why you wouldn't want to anyways. But like, even if they didn't, they don't have the horses on the back end to play that style, right? And they're just going to have to eventually bend to Washington's will and succumb to that sort of back and forth type of game. So yeah, I agree. I'm obviously on this total, this over, and I'm still okay with it where it is now. It is getting to a point though where like, all right, you got to get in here. Like, you can't wait any longer if you haven't got in already. I would definitely get in now. Shocker, I lean Habs on the side. I think that we're going to see a little bit of a different approach here. I think getting into the playoffs was like the big thing for them. They're going to be playing looser here, and that's why I'm not betting on this. It's more just a lean. Definitely the only way I would bet the side right now, though. I think this number is too big. Protest being out also is like a low-key significant loss here, because now you're talking about like Beauvillier on that top line. It's not often you get the 8 seed taking on the 1 seed, and the 8 seed has a better first line. I don't think you see that very often. Second line, third line, fourth line, edges definitely go to Washington. There. So like, I'm not saying that the Habs have a better forward group or anything. That second line of Dubois, Wilson, and McMichael is very scary. But again, I think the Habs are kind of playing with house money now, and I think you're going to see them play a little bit freer, a little bit looser than they were in those last 2 games. And this is a team that but they have a lot of guys that maybe they are a young team, but they have a lot of guys that have played in big games and big moments. Obviously, Suzuki and Caulfield were on this team when they went to the Cup final. They scored some big goals. They had some big moments in those in that playoff run as well. Obviously, like, you're looking at Gallagher, Josh Anderson. Like, there's a lot of like guys that are still kind of there. Jake Evans that were there and were part of the team then. So it's not as raw of a group as maybe we are being led to believe here. I just think we see a little bit of a different approach here. I think this number is just too big. I think Washington's obviously, rightfully, sizable favorites, but I think they're just a little bit too big here, especially with the guys that they're missing early on. The Habs have a chance to deliver a little bit of a sucker punch. So I also was looking now, because they were posted on FanDuel. They weren't necessarily posted let me just pull it up here. But when they had the series, when we were doing our playoff preview, they didn't have the series goal stuff for everyone. Pierre-Luc Dubois, plus 140 for 2+ goals in this series. I love that look. I really, really like that look. That second line is going to be the biggest problem for the Habs. I know whenever St. Louis has a chance, obviously on the road, he's not going to be able to as much as maybe he'd like, but he's going to try and get, he might try and get the Evans line out there against Stroman and them, but I think for the most part, he knows he's going to have to put Suzuki out there against Stroman and Ovechkin, and hope that they can sort of outplay them a little bit. That second line, I think, can really feast if Montreal's not careful. That Wilson, McMichael, Dubois line. I think Dubois playing against his childhood team in the Habs. We've seen Dubois elevate a couple times before in the playoffs. I do like him to score 2+ goals in this series at plus 140. I think that's a pretty big number. All right, so we will lock in the over there. We will move on to the next game of the night. The St. Louis Blues taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Blues plus 155, Jets minus 188. Total of 5.5. Heavily juiced towards the under. Minus 144 right now. Plus 118 to the over. Do you think we see 5 at one point here? And is there any way that you are getting involved in this game tonight?
So we will see a 5. Nothing for me in this game. Just a couple of thoughts. I thought that the Blues in Game 1, that was a ceiling game for them. The way that game started, for the first 30 or so minutes, I thought that the Blues were playing about as best as they could play. And I thought that Winnipeg was a little tentative. I wasn't surprised with them coming out with that kind of start, and it wasn't concerning because it was something that was expected. But as that game went on, you could see you could start seeing the Jets find their legs, right? And I think that's going to continue throughout the series. I think that um, Hellebuck wasn't the greatest game for him. I would expect him to improve, right? And I think that also there's a certain element of the Jets have been here up 1-0 in series and they've completely collapsed, right? So I think that there's a just how all year there's been a focus on responding in the playoffs. I think that there's going to be a focus going into this game about responding to how we prepare for game twos. Granted, this game is at home, so it's a little bit different, right? But I think that is going to be a focus. And St. Louis will hang around just because that's the kind of team they are. They're a heavy team. They are able to play with Winnipeg up to a certain extent. But I think that as this game goes on, as the series goes on, I think that that Winnipeg is just too strong here for the Blues. So I do expect. I don't think it's going to be straightforward for Winnipeg tonight, but I do expect them to win. Total. I'm not crazy about this total. Obviously, like if it was a flat 5.5, obviously we would bet that. But it's been adjusted, and there's no reason to be betting a 5.5 at like minus 130 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know. Rob mentioned it on the previous show as well that Blues team totals under he was going to be looking at, and obviously that did not get home in the first game. But the Blues really didn't generate anything. Things broke very kindly for them to score the goals that they did, and you can see once the Jets settled in, St. Louis didn't barely touch the puck in the offensive zone. They could get nothing going. That's what happens when you're so reliant on one line to score, right? They were able to get the power play goals and stuff like that, but for the most part, like you're going to struggle to generate when you can only have one line going out there and actually getting offense going for you. I think tonight, now that the Jets have kind of settled in after that game one, I think we'll see the game we expected more so, which is often the case in these game twos. Game ones can be a little bit, more higher variance, a little bit crazier. Obviously, that hasn't necessarily been the case so far with favorites winning every single game, but like that's still over time has been very true. Game ones are generally just higher variance. Teams come out there, the adrenaline's going, and it kind of takes a minute to settle into the series. I do think things will settle down a little bit more so here. So, I do agree that this is where the under would come into play, where I would like an under, but not at the prices we're getting here. So I'm not really dying to bet it. I like Winnipeg quite a bit. I do think they're going to win the series comfortably here. But again, with such a low total and like this is a big number, I'm not really looking to get involved in that either. So nothing for me on this game. Do have more that I like in this next game, the Stars and the Avs. Avs minus 146 in Dallas, Stars plus 122. Dallas obviously very much needs this game after dropping game one, a total of 6.5, plus 108 to the over, minus 132 to the under. So Money, side or total, are you getting involved here?
Yeah, I did bet Dallas here. I like them. I like them down to about plus 115-ish. I thought Dallas's game was fine. There was some bad luck involved. I thought that 5-on-5 they looked fine, right? There's nothing here that I saw during game one that makes me think that I was incorrect in thinking that this is going to be a long drawn out series. I think that both these teams are pretty evenly matched, and I think that even with the guys that Dallas is missing, they are going to have. This is going to be a long series, and we've seen Dallas respond in game twos. And you look at the adjustment after game one of the from where Colorado closed game one to where they are right now. I don't think that there's enough of an adjustment. I think that we should be a little bit lower, not just the series effects of a team responding after game one at home, but also because of the way that game was played. I think that where Colorado closed their number in their series compared to where they should be right now, based on that close, should be a lot closer than it is right now. So, if that makes sense, right? So, yes. I think that we need to be making more of an adjustment here on Dallas. based on the series close, based on the game one close, compared to what we saw, how this series is going to potentially play out. So there is value on Dallas at the plus money right now.
Yeah, I agree. I bet the Stars as well here. I think for all the same reasons you said here, series effects, not a big enough adjustment, all that sort of stuff. Didn't see anything in game one that had me overly concerned about the Stars. Obviously, that Lehkonen goal was insanely weird, and then the McKinnon goal takes it just a wild deflection. Like I couldn't believe that. Yeah, just two very, very strange goals to give Colorado that 2-0 lead. But like Dallas was very much in that game. They looked good. Blackwood looked very good, which is encouraging if you have like any like long-term Av stuff as well. But yeah, just too big of a number here for the Stars on home ice, fighting for their lives. I like this without Heiskanen. Maybe an outside chance Heiskanen is back tonight though too. He was skating. He looked pretty good skating the other day. Considered day to day. I don't think he's going to play, but again, didn't sound like he was going to play. But like in the playoffs, you don't want to give away any sort of information. So I think they want to make it seem like, oh, we don't know. He's probably still pretty far away. And then like him all of a sudden like suiting up tonight would not shock me. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would not shock me. Obviously significant upside there if Heiskanen does suit up. No Jason Robertson, though. He's like wearing a brace, apparently limping pretty badly. Doesn't look like he's anywhere close to returning. I wouldn't expect him in the series at all. So I'm with you on the Stars here. Did like overs coming into this series, but had some over in game one, didn't quite work out. Was able to just get a push there. But not loving where the total's at right now. It's been adjusted, and we're kind of a little bit further towards that over than we were when we opened. So nothing there. We'll just lock in the Stars for this one as we move on to the Oilers and the Kings. I cannot wait for this series. I cannot wait for this game. A lot of my family's grocery habits are going to rely on the Kings right now in the next 7 games, hopefully less games. Kings minus 125 and home to the Oilers plus 104, total of 5.5, minus 106 to the over, minus 114 to the under. So, Lonnie, I mean, I think I know where you're at in this one because we talked about this. We're both pretty heavily invested on the Kings, not just in the futures market, but in this series as well. I'm personally am reinvested in game one here as well. There's still some minus 121, I guess, up to minus 125 available. I like the Kings here. How about you?
Yeah, I bet the Kings. I think up to minus 125 we're good. Really for all the reasons that we talked about in the previous show on Friday. And there's nothing I've seen or heard in the last few days that's taking me away from that opinion. We're heavily invested in the Kings too. It's probably too much at this point. We have overbet the Kings.
A little overexposed.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes if you feel you have an edge and if the numbers are right, then you have to push it, right? Like what else are you supposed to do? That's the name of the game. So yeah, I've pushed a lot on the Kings. Not much to say. I think that they fought for home ice. They wanted home ice. And I think this is a situation where I expect the Kings to come out with the foot on the gas. And the Oilers are experienced enough that as this game goes on, if the Kings are instilling their will here, I think the Oilers understand that, like, even though I don't think it's a long series, it's going to be a long series. I think that the Oilers will probably feel that we can extend this series. So like, it's okay to lose one game in a series, right? So so I think that you have one team that should come out really strong, and another team that kind of knows who they are in the playoffs, and they'll kind of not take it easy, but they'll be fine with kind of taking a backseat to like hopefully get the Kings blow their load early in game one. So I do. I did play the Kings, and yeah, it's a little concerning about how overexposed we are in this series, but so it goes. Let's go Kings.
It won't be concerning in 2 weeks. You're just going to be swimming in a bathtub full of money, and you're going to be very happy. There's also something to be said about this Oilers team still missing guys. Obviously, no Ekholm. Kane, who's been out all season, doesn't really count as missing him, but he's not going to play tonight. Stetcher's not going to play. Trent Frederick is day-to-day. Doesn't sound like he's going to play either. Their trade deadline acquisition, or one of their trade deadline acquisitions. Kulak should play. According to Friedman, he was away with his wife who's expecting a baby. So at least a good reason there. He's not injured. But yeah, you haven't had these guys for so long. There's been guys in and out of the lineup. The last time you've played with your full team is like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. It's very difficult to just get everyone in and like expect the chemistry to just happen overnight and everything to just work out. They barely had this team together in general, because obviously like the guys they lost in the offseason, new faces brought in, then the deadline acquisitions and whatnot. Like there's been a lot of moving pieces. I don't think they're just going to have these lines working right away. They're just going to have to basically rely on the individual brilliance of Draisaitl and McDavid, which is, I mean, a pretty good way to go about things in any game. That's always going to give you a chance, to be fair. But this Kings team so good defensively and so good at limiting things. I think if you're relying on just one guy, on the ice at a time to kind of carry the line, it's going to be very difficult against a very smart defensive team like this that gives up so little. So yeah, just a really not the matchup for them to just be able to kind of bring everyone back here and have success, in my opinion. I think this is still a little bit short on the Kings in game one here. I like this and I need this, I would say. I really need this. I also did some, I kind of like split my Kings game one, because apparently I wasn't invested enough in series. I also got like some game one and series double stuff at like plus 200. There's plus 190 right now on FanDuel. So yeah, Kings, everything, everywhere. There's also some series stuff in this one that we talked about the other day on Friday that we didn't get to like give out at prices because of the fact that they didn't have the leading goal scorer stuff available. I like Quinton Byfield 2+ goals in the series plus 125, and Alex Laferriere plus 150 in that market as well. I think that second line is going to be free to play in a very offensive role, get a lot of offensive zone starts because of the fact that they're going to want to keep Kopitar and Danault lines on the Draisaitl and McDavid line. So I do expect a lot of offensive zone time for that Byfield line, and I expect these stats to reflect that. All right, so we'll go ahead and lock in the Kings. That gives us 3 best bets for tonight. We have the Canadiens and Capitals over 6 at minus 106. The Stars plus 125, and the Kings up to minus 125. The 3 best bets for tonight. Yeah, there it is right there. All right, so Money, let's build a anytime goal parlay. Before we go to the chat, everyone in the chat, send in your suggestions if you want someone included in there. I had a couple of guys maybe in mind, but I wanted to ask you first, anyone you wanted to, as the Habs are taking money right now. So if you didn't get in on the Habs, probably missed the boat here. Yeah, I would say that you kind of probably missed the boat on the Habs if you didn't get in yet. All right, anyone you wanted to include in this anytime goal parlay?
I'm just looking at the money coming on the Habs here. Yeah, Suzuki. Like him quite a bit here. He's outstanding, right? And like the biggest games, like that he's gonna show up. So yeah, I like him to score. I don't know about the number though. I didn't look at the number there.
Number here is plus 230. Yeah, it's a good number.
Oh, good. Yeah, good number. Yeah. So I do like him, and I do like your look on Byfield as well here.
Yeah, that's one of the guys I was gonna suggest here was Byfield plus 310 at FanDuel, which is a pretty big number as well. Yeah. So we'll go Byfield and Suzuki. And we can take some suggestions now from the chat. John Smith says Duchesne plus 290. I like that a lot as well, actually. I really like that one. He's obviously on first power play right now and has some really nice line mates. He looked pretty good in game one. I'm down to throw Duchesne in there as well. So we would, if we want to do 4, we're going to need to include someone from the Jets game. Tough one to find a goal scorer in, honestly. I liked the way they didn't get on the score sheet at all, but I did like the way that Nemesnikov and Niederreiter line looked. I do feel like they're going to have their say in the series sooner than later, but I don't actually see any prices up for them. Let me just pull up my FanDuel screen here instead of my on screen. We have we got plenty of prices here. We have Niederreiter plus 340, Nemesnikov 470, and then Perfetti was the other guy on that line plus 310. Perfetti also getting power play one time. So, what do you think about? I think Perfetti's getting power play one time. What do you think about Perfetti actually? Because I like that line, and he's on that line. It's a big number for a guy who, I mean, got a great shot, and he's on PP1 with Scheifele, Ifalo, Connor, and Morrissey.
I like that. I think we can go ahead and add that.
Okay, so let's throw Perfetti in there as well. So Suzuki, Perfetti, pull out the games here. Suzuki, Perfetti, Duchesne, and Byfield. Those are the four guys we're going to have tonight in our anytime goal parlay. I'm talking very fast for producer behind the scenes to be able to throw that together, so that's my bad. That is 202 to 1. Let's round robin this as well. Let's get their 2s and 3s and all that sort of stuff. I like this. I like this look. I think we see a lot of goals in that first game. So I mean, I think you can go any which way in that Habs game. If you want to throw Suzuki in there, if you wanted to throw like a Wilson or a Dubois from that second line, or even a McMichael in there, wouldn't hate that either. All right, that's it. Anytime goal parlay. Three. What?
No, I was going to say that there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah. I have not had the chat up enough. Which way do you think the money goes in this game? I think this is a question about Dallas. I don't think Colorado takes as much money as they did in Game 1. I think there was a reason for that Game 1 money. I don't think they're going to take the same money here. I think that this will be. I think you're fine betting it now. If anything, I think the Stars will take a little bit of money. How about you?
Agreed. I think that Dallas should take money throughout the day here.
Yeah. I would agree with that for sure. What else am I missing here? What other questions are there?
How did Hellebuck look? I thought that as the game went on, he was getting more comfortable. I thought that he was off to a tough start in that game. And I mean, the way that you beat Hellebuck is no secret. You need to get traffic in front of the net. St. Louis tries to do that. But I don't think that I think Hellebuck will be fine until he plays a sandpaper team, right? So it's not the Blues try to do that, but they're not capable of sustaining that throughout the whole game. A team like the Kings, who can get traffic in front of the net and really grind it up, a team like the Kings, a team like Vegas, those are the kind of teams that I would be concerned about with the Jets. I think that they'll easily get by the Blues. Hellebuck is going to get stronger. I think we'll see him have a good effort or a good series against possibly Colorado. It's the conference final when he's up against possibly the Kings or Vegas. That'll be concerning. If they're playing Edmonton in the conference final, I think that he'll be okay.
Yeah. I agree with all that. All right. I think that'll do it for us today. We will be back tomorrow. I will have less of a hard out. Full disclosure, the reason we actually started early is I have a dentist appointment that I forgot about. I wasn't able to just get a bit too late once I realized it to reschedule without an inconvenience. So we will be back at 10:30 a.m. again, normal time tomorrow, to break down the games, talk about tonight's games, hopefully victory lap, a Habs Game 1 win here, and maybe even come in on the Caps to win the series in that case, if that's what we're looking at here. We'll definitely look at a lot of live series stuff throughout the playoffs. I don't think nothing live that you're getting, like, unless you're like doing laying it with like Carolina, like minus 900, or like reinvesting in the Leafs, like minus 450, like with all the favorites winning. I don't think it's opened up any significant value unless you like one of these dogs that have lost Game 1. Personally, I'm not kind of really at that point with any of them yet. If you like the Stars tonight, I guess maybe like a live series look on the Stars, but I don't necessarily like the Stars in this series. It's more of a game 2 thing here, but we'll definitely talk about a bunch of that stuff as we go through here. And 4 more games tomorrow to get into, so that'll be a lot of fun. Appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Like, comment, all that sort of stuff before you leave. Go Habs, go. Enjoy the games tonight, and good luck on your bets.